Hello, my name is John Schulte. I'm the managing attorney of the Warren office of the UAW FCA Ford General Motors Legal Services Plan. I am a graduate of the Wayne State University Law School, and I'm licensed to practice law in the state of Michigan. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about traffic tickets. I'm going to discuss the coverage that the plan provides for traffic ticket matters, and also just give some basic pointers. And we're going to go into a slideshow now, and hopefully this will be informative. First, let's talk about the benefit coverage. There are two types of benefits that we offer. First is the office work benefit for traffic tickets and moving violations. That benefit includes a free consultation for moving violations like speeding tickets, running a red light, making an illegal turn, or careless driving, things like that. The benefit includes legal advice about your options, and it includes coaching from the attorney so that you can appear in a court hearing and present your case to try to fight the ticket. Now, some issues related to driving will require the other type of benefit, which is a low-cost referral. And that is required in cases where there's more serious violations, including violations like drinking and driving, possession of a controlled substance, auto license revocation, and any misdemeanor or felony. If you do get a traffic ticket, the first thing you should do as a UAW member, spouse, or retiree, the first thing you should do is call your plan attorney. And why not? It's totally free. Now, if you decide just to pay the ticket, then that's the same thing as admitting that you're guilty. So once you simply pay the ticket, that's the end of it. You can't go back and change what amounts to a guilty plea. In Michigan and some other states, there's what we call a point system. What that basically means is that whenever you get a violation, it could come with one or more points on your driving record. If you get too many points on your driving record, you could lose your privileges, or your privileges could be restricted in some way. Another side effect of getting a traffic ticket is an increase in your car insurance premiums. It might not be immediate, but at some point, if you get a moving violation, it's likely to increase your insurance premiums. When you talk to the attorney, you'll find out if there are other issues for your specific situation. Maybe there are implications that I haven't thought of today, or maybe there's implications in your state that I don't know about. Again, if you're an eligible plan member, call your plan attorney first. The first thing that the attorney is going to ask you is what happened? What was the violation? When was the ticket issued? How long has it been? Have you missed your court date? Have you missed a deadline? We'll also want to know where was the ticket issued. In some cases, jurisdiction can make a difference. The attorney's also going to want to know about your driving record. Depending on your state or jurisdiction, past tickets and points can stay on your record for as little as 2 years to as much as 3 and even 5 years. Depends on the violation, depends on the sentence, and again, depends on your state. Now, older violations may not count toward increased penalties or restrictions on your driving record, but getting several tickets in a short amount of time can make it harder for you to ask for leniency and to convince a prosecutor or a judge to lower the charges. You and your plan attorney will look at the violation from a lot of different aspects. The attorney's going to want to know whether you argued with the officer or whether it was a smooth conversation. This can be important in making a deal when your hearing date comes. I always say that you want to be respectful and you want to make the officer want to help you out. If the ticket was issued in the context of a collision, the attorney's going to want to know whether people were injured or whether there was property damage, whether there was damage to vehicles. He'll talk about insurance claims and whether there's a risk that you could be liable in a civil lawsuit. You and the attorney are going to do some strategizing. We'll start by asking, do you really want to contest this ticket? Some people just don't want to take a day off to go to court. In some cases, we know that the ticket is valid and there's not much chance of beating the charge. In many cases, there's going to be the officer's version of what happened and your version of what happened, and you've got to ask yourself, who is the judge going to believe? That said, when you're deciding to fight the ticket or not fight the ticket, keep in mind that there's a lot more at stake than just that ticket fine and the court fees. Rather than go through a long hearing where it's just the officer's word against the driver's word, the judges and the lawyers are going to want to see if there's a way to make a deal. If you decide to fight the ticket and you've got a fairly compelling case, you might be able to strike a deal and avoid getting points on your record and a big jump in your insurance rates. One big question is whether you're comfortable representing yourself in a court hearing after getting some advice and coaching from your plan attorney. If you feel comfortable speaking for yourself and presenting your case, then this is the most cost-effective way to fight these tickets. In many places, you can choose a formal hearing in an open courtroom in front of a judge, or you can select an informal hearing that might happen over the phone or the internet, or it might just be a conversation at a conference table in the courthouse. These informal hearings are normally just a low-key proceeding. You don't have to dress up like you're going to the prom. It's not going to be a dramatic scene with people banging on the tables. There will be a judge, or more likely a magistrate. There'll be a prosecuting attorney or an attorney for the city. And then the officer, in most cases, is there, although sometimes they're not there, or sometimes they're just available on the phone. Now, in most cases, these hearings are going to be held remotely, depending on the jurisdiction. Prior to the hearing, your plan attorney will talk to you about the court procedures. They'll talk about whether it makes sense to represent yourself in an informal hearing or a formal hearing. We'll talk about the place and time. The attorney should tell you where to check in and what to say. And the attorneys will give you some pointers on how to behave. I always say that it's important to argue your case strongly when you have that chance, but otherwise be polite. Don't interrupt people. If the judge asks you a question, answer that question directly. Don't treat it as a chance to avoid the question and talk about other things. If someone asks you a question, just give them an answer. Now, I talk to clients in Michigan, and for the most part, the people that I talk to know that they did something wrong, and maybe they don't totally disagree with the ticket, but they want to try to minimize the damage. For cases like that, my advice is talk to the prosecuting attorney or the attorney for the city. Explain that you're a decent driver, you didn't do this intentionally, you just want to see if they can give you a break. And sometimes they can give you a break. It won't always happen, but sometimes it happens. What we see a lot in Michigan is that when we have a decent driver with a good record who had a relatively minor offense, the prosecuting attorneys will often offer you a deal. Prosecutors will commonly offer to reduce your charge to a charge of what they call impeding traffic or double parking, some lower charge where they're going to get a fee from you, but you're not going to get any points on your record. So in the short term, the court gets the fine money, they get the fees from you, but in the long run, you're going to save money by avoiding a bump in your insurance costs. In other cases, you might be able to get what we call a plea under advisement. And what that means is you're going to pay the fine, you're going to pay the fees, but if you don't get any tickets for a certain amount of time, then there's no points on your record. Again, the idea is you want to see if you can make a deal. At the end of the day, you're going to have to pay the fine, most likely, but at least you can limit some of the other consequences. Now, if you're in a formal hearing and the officer doesn't show up, ask the court to dismiss the ticket. If you can't make a deal, if the officer shows up, it looks like you're going to go into a hearing. If you have witnesses that can help your cause, bring them to court. Present your case as convincingly as you can. Remain calm. Be polite and respectful to everyone in the courtroom. When the judge or the prosecutor asks you a question, always answer honestly and directly. Keep in mind that the result could be good or it could be bad. In certain cases, I don't recommend that my clients represent themselves. In those situations, the plan provides a low-cost referral to an outside attorney that can represent you in court. The attorney will bill you, but it's a reduced rate because you're eligible for the plan's services. When should you get a low-cost referral? You're in jeopardy of losing your driver's license because of the points attached to the ticket, or if the charge involves driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, possession of drugs, driving with an expired or revoked license, or any other misdemeanor or felony. The ticket involves a collision, and there was a serious personal injury in that collision. I recommend that you get a low-cost referral and have an attorney represent you in court. Some people don't like public speaking, and they just don't think that they could handle representing themselves in court. If that's the case, we'll give you a low-cost referral. Some people just prefer to have a professional at their side when they go into court, and that's fine. We can provide you with a low-cost referral to an attorney in your area. If your hearing doesn't go the way that you wanted it to, and the court rules against you, there may be other options. Whether you represented yourself or if you had an attorney with you in court, if you lose the case, call your plan attorney and see if there's other things that you could do to improve your situation. In Michigan, most drivers have an option to take a driver improvement course, which can be done over the internet or in person. The cost is up to $100, but the benefit is if you pass this driver improvement course, you can actually prevent your insurance company from finding out about those points on your record. There are certain restrictions, and you can only do it once or once in a certain period of time. I know of at least 2 other states that have similar programs, so ask your plan attorney if there's some sort of program like this, or if there's some other opportunity to sort of limit the damage from your offense. Here's some points to remember. If you just pay the fine, that's pleading guilty. You're going to possibly have points on your record, and your insurance may go up. Even if you know you're guilty, but you've got an otherwise good driving record, think about requesting a hearing. Just see if you can make a deal. Just see if you can make it even just a little bit better than pleading guilty automatically. If you are assigned a hearing date or if you request a hearing date, make sure you show up. If you don't show up in court, you can make a bad situation much worse. Depending where you live, if you don't show up in court for a traffic ticket or a criminal matter, it's likely that there'll be an automatic bench warrant put out in your name. You don't want that to happen. If you plead guilty or if you're found guilty by the court, you will have fines and fees to pay. There will be points added to your driving record. The points will stay on your record for years depending where you are. Also, your license may be suspended or restricted, and it's likely that the points will cause an increase in your insurance premiums. If you recently got a ticket, or if you get a ticket in the future, keep in mind that there's serious consequences, and remember to consult your plan attorney. Again, it's free, and nothing beats talking to a professional to go into this knowing what could happen and what your options are.